Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Real Estate Makes Us Drink, somewhere around episode 39 or 40, not sure which. I'm Brian Quinlan from Daniels Real Estate.
Brad Nickham from Nest Mortgage Group.
Once again, we have a guest, somebody new. Sir, please introduce yourself.
I'm Mike Gibson with MJ Gibson Surveying.
MJ Gibson Surveying. Now that, I got to say, in my real estate world is something I often hear about, but really don't do a ton with. Maybe I should do more?
Yeah, I've always thought, why would someone buy or make maybe the biggest purchase and not know where they're buying as far as property's concerned or the boundary lines, right?
Yeah.
And we face that every day, and that's what keeps us in business.
Okay.
Huh. I thought you actually handed out the surveys that people said I did a good
You're
job
not the
on.
person at the mall doing the surveys?
No, not that type of survey.
It's a different kind of survey.
Yeah.
It's a real survey.
Family Feud.
Okay. Where do they get those people?
100 people surveyed, or 100 people were asked, and I think, is that what the person at the mall is asking me questions about? It goes to Family Feud?
I just wonder where all the surveys come from because I'm never asked.
Exactly.
I've never
They've
asked.
never asked me.
Yeah. I'm
So
not asked in those surveys for the Family Feud. I don't get voter surveys.
Right.
Yep.
Like,
So I didn't know
what
if I'm the 47% or 42%.
Exactly.
I might be the
Guy that said,
math, the 11% that wasn't asked.
you may be the guy that when the card turns over, it says just one person answered that question that way. Because every once in a while, there's like four.
Yeah,
Correct.
exactly. But we got the show here.
You did the
Cheers.
greatest
Welcome.
beer pour I've ever
This
seen.
is,
Is that a beer float?
It has gone down. Cheers, sir.
Cheers.
Welcome to the show.
You have that
Thanks for
effect on
thanks for
lots of
having
people
me.
when they go down after you come in the room.
You know what? It started with a big head because I've got
Oh,
the,
you
big,
did the
hat,
big hat.
just
That's
not
right.
today.
I wonder where the big hat was.
Oh, see,
It's over there.
It is here. It's in the presence. I often don't wear it with guests just because it's a lot to
Yeah.
keep turning my head back.
He
and
knocked
forth.
somebody off the stool. Then
Exactly.
we got sued. I
You
think it's
want that.
episode 4.
I do appreciate you pointing it out, though. It's getting noticed by people.
Yeah.
I like
yeah,
it.
it is.
What are you drinking in your clear liquid?
Water. I'm 7 water.
Wow, that's
Odd.
not right.
No,
No,
it's
it's odd.
tequila.
Oh, what,
Same-
you had that on the
same-
show before? You had that last time.
I had
actually.
the Repo last time, though. This is a Blanco.
Oh,
so
okay.
It's really good.
Big difference in taste?
Yeah, actually, that's completely different. It's
Okay.
a completely profiled tequila. But yeah, this is fantastic.
All right.
Does it
Mike?
have a blank taste because
No.
it's Blanco?
No, Blanco
Or is it
means
white?
white.
It's a white taste.
Gotcha.
Whatever that might taste like. Mike, what do you got in your triad cup over there?
Some sort of beer that's out of Brad's refrigerator.
It is Coors Light on tap.
Right out of the cake.
It's nice. Nice.
Yeah.
So today I have from Bier Brewery. I bought this specifically. As soon as I saw it, I'm like, oh, Brad's going to love this. It is called Party Pal. Now, Bier Brewery is located in Indiana, but because you often make fun of me and my lack of taste, you say I don't have taste buds, I have taste pals.
Yeah, they're not really good buds. They're just kind of pals. They're like,
Hey, that kind of tastes like peanut butter.
Exactly. Well, this kind of tastes like beer. It's called Party Pal.
well, fantastic.
So it you know what? Tastes like beer.
Tastes like beer. Can you give us maybe some flavor profile
Nope,
of the beer?
I cannot.
Yeah.
If you'd like me to read the label,
He can't do that.
I may need to borrow your glasses, but yeah,
This tastes like
Tastes
Is
like
this
beer.
a survey? Is this a survey on beer taste?
it could be.
Yeah,
Do you
no.
have a beer taste preference? Because you did ask for a beer.
No, I typically don't want to drink a lot of beer.
Okay.
It's bloating.
Of course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for us that get older.
Yeah, sure.
So I'm more of a peach whiskey guy.
Are you?
Dude,
Okay,
yeah.
we have
I
that.
have it right up here. I think
Well-
it's your bottle. I think you left
Yeah,
that
yeah, I
bottle here one
probably
night.
left it here last time I was
Well,
here.
you know
Yeah.
what? There will be shots later in the show.
There you go.
I don't know if I just
Maybe-
take a shot of that.
Oh yeah,
You can
we
say-
have a portion of the show where we take a shot of everything. Like we
Okay.
did this
All right.
Even things that
pickle,
shouldn't be.
hot pickle juice moonshine.
Oh, and last time
Ugh.
we had the St.
Yeah.
Elmo's cherry vanilla bourbon, which is
Yeah.
not a shot.
Well, I
but
brought
it
a
was.
guest today that probably like that pickle moonshine.
I don't know. That's like licking the carpet. That was really bad.
It's just
and I could take a shot of
good.
just about anything, and
That's not good.
oh, it's not good.
it
no.
literally just tasted like straight pickle juice.
Wow. What made you order that, Brad?
I like pickles, so I eat
But-
the pickles out of it.
It's spicy pickles. Even.
They're spicy pickles, so they. I mean, it's been there a little while, so I had
Gotcha. Okay.
I picked it up when we were in Gatlinburg. It was good, but not to drink.
That's where Old Smoky is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, they're in Gatlinburg.
All right, so I got to ask, gentlemen, how do the two of you know each other?
Oh my gosh, it was. It's been about 100 years, I think.
Wow.
Well, our kids are 33.
Brittany, no.
No,
How old is Austin?
36.
Say Brittany's 35.
36.
No, Brittany's 36.
So probably 5 years, 6 years after that, after they started going to school together. And then we had
More kids.
more kids. We've had a lot of kids.
I've heard you had a
Yeah.
few.
Actually, I got a
few
picture
kids.
that I want to point
As
out.
you can see them. So 30-some years just because of the kids.
Kids went to school together, played. Their kids actually played baseball. My one child participated in baseball. That's all I'm going to say. Blake wasn't.
So
It is.
Mount Vernon?
Mount Vernon and then Greenfield as well.
All right.
Yeah, so combination.
So I always tease Mike that he has a lot of kids,
Yeah.
and I got a picture on the wall up here. So this is going to
Coming
be.
soon.
That's a picture of Mike and all of his kids behind him.
Not behind, no.
Wow. You have to host them at Ruoff
Okay,
Music Center?
technically that's
There's
all the
only-
kids
there they
and all the
are, and the
grandkids.
There's only 6 that I know that call me dad.
All right. How many call you granddad?
7.
All
Isn't that
right.
amazing?
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a big Christmas celebration going on. A lot of
We,
people.
we typically have 20 some together whenever, just in the immediate family.
And also the reason Mike doesn't have a Ferrari as a second car.
That's right. Yeah.
He could have, raising all those kids, guaranteed.
Would a
I'm still
Ferrari-
driving the blue Chevette that I had in 1983.
Would a Ferrari have driven well through the rain to get here?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't have one,
Yeah,
so I can't answer
exactly.
that question.
Curious. It's absolutely pouring today here in
Yeah.
Indy.
It quieted down now, though. We can actually hear.
It has.
They knew that we started the show.
They did.
So the,
Well, I put a message out to the production team.
Mother Nature calmed down for the show. Thank you very much. All right, Mike. So, surveying. How'd you get in this business?
Well, right out of high school, my brother had a summer job for me. He owned a surveying company in Greenfield, and that was 40-some years ago. And that name has just been synonymous with surveying in Hancock County for that long. Ownership's changed names 2 or 3 times, but the Gibson name has been around for that long in the surveying world. So, yeah.
When you drive through Hancock County and you see like a development or a building or a sewage treatment plant, like everything Gibson Surveying had something to do with that being in Hancock County.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Being a former math teacher, which is take a shot, I believe, when I mention that stuff.
Yep.
I would imagine surveying involves a lot of math.
It does. Of course, that's something as a middle school or high schooler you don't take serious.
For sure.
But surveying, it's really a lot of math, geometry, trigonometry. That's a big word for you guys, I'm sure. But
Yep.
those angles and distances, and if you take a grid with the north arrow and the east arrow, and you had to plot points, that's what surveying is. Now, when you have to read legal descriptions, we thought word problems were. Gosh, I'm really glad I paid attention
Yeah,
because
right.
legal descriptions are word problems and math problems. So,
I was always good at geometry. I could always look on the map and know exactly where to go and never got lost.
Yeah, you actually
Yeah.
said that before. It's impressive.
Yeah.
that's interesting. I had
Wait, I think it's geography.
That's fine. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
geography, geometry. There was a young
It
girl.
involves geometry.
Our daughter Caroline, she's a golfer, and another girl came over to the house today, and I said, "Hey, did you take I-70 together?" And she goes, "No, I just looked at my phone." So she had no clue what road she was on.
That's what people do today.
Yeah.
They just go put the phone in and then.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
generally how I do it. My wife, similar to you, excellent with directions.
Just go there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she loves Waze, but at the same time, she could easily do it without.
I look at where I'm going.
There you go. Now you mentioned technology. I would assume that in the modern world that we live in, maybe less math. Maybe there's more technology involved with stuff now.
Yeah, the computer programs, AutoCAD, the instruments that we use outside, the GPS units, data collectors, that all does it to you for you. We have a robotic gun, and I kid my guys in the field all the time that they're just robots because if they have the information that we give them and provide to them, they can go out and do the job. If they don't charge the batteries and something goes wrong, they have to quit and come back to the office because they have no clue.
Oh man.
So, yeah.
Now, is there less people today? Because used to, you'd have one guy with a stick and one guy looking through a scope.
Yep.
And now I see a piece of equipment and one guy way over there.
We generally try to keep the same amount of guys working because of safety. We're around the roads all the time, and the traffic now is even worse than
Oh,
it
my
was
gosh.
because what we just talked about. Everybody's looking
I
at
drove
their
through
phone.
that today.
Yeah. So if it's just out on a construction site, one guy because of the GPS units that we can use. Yeah. So it has made it simpler. Maybe not as I don't know. Just it's an older profession for one.
Sure.
So a lot of young guys aren't getting into it because it was hard work back in the day. I wouldn't say it's any hard. It's much easier than a roofer or a guy that's laying asphalt all day. So.
Okay, and we've all seen the person with the stick, another person shooting through a scope. What the hell are they doing? Can you, I don't know, dumb it down and explain what they're doing? Because I truly don't know.
Okay, so the instruments that we use, if you see them with the tripod with an instrument on top of it, that is called a theodolite or an old thing, transit. Maybe you've heard that term.
I knew what that is.
But they are automatic distance measurers, if you will.
Okay.
And they have an internal 360-degree
Oh, okay.
measure.
Yeah.
So you can turn angles, and then it's that trigonometry or geometry thing that we were talking about of here's a line, it's so far out, and then you turn an angle of 30 degrees and measure a distance. Now you can connect the 2 points on the end. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
And can that do that with the topography of the ground and also the different
Yeah,
elevations?
so the other thing you might see is another guy with a tripod with a level on it, and a guy with the stick, as you call it. That might be a level rod or a prism pole. But the level rod, that's the old term of it and the old way of doing things, but you can take topography of a ground that way. But now with the GPS units, it has a head on it, which is a receiver, and it's basically getting information from 20 to 25 satellites, maybe more, and it does automatic calculations on where you're at, and it's so much easier because it just takes elevation, horizontal, and that's what we use.
Is that how the site tracker I use on the golf course works?
Similar, yeah, yeah,
I just got one of those in the mail today. I'm very excited.
much more.
Have you ever come home after working with the prism pole all day and looked at Darla and said, man, today was a hard day on the pole?
I think we need a shot.
We're not there yet.
I would use that a lot.
Have you noticed she's probably ignoring half the stuff we say?
Oh, it seems
That's about all of it.
I'm learning. And
And that's a
listening.
lot. Is this the first live audience you've had?
Nope.
no, actually.
Nope, we've had
a couple of
multiples.
episodes,
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, I like math. The stuff you're talking about, I'm like, that seems like it would be fascinating.
It is. I understand it more so than the guys I hire, simply because they didn't have to do it the old way.
Yeah. Doing it the old way makes a whole difference to the
Of
new person that
understanding.
has no idea
Yeah,
what you
most
had to
certainly.
do before.
Yeah, but it's the technology is unreal. Now you can even fly a drone over. It uses the same sort of technology, and you can get the topography. It's not.
How are your drone skills?
I don't have one yet. Those are expensive.
I bet they are.
So yeah.
I have a drone. It's not expensive. It can't do that stuff, but I've crashed it like a whole bunch of times.
You do have a drone.
Oh, yeah, they're awesome. I do, like, I'm taking pictures of the house. And
Gotcha.
after you do that, then you fly it a little bit, and then you land it a few times, and you're like, well, that's pretty neat.
Yeah, that's cool.
So a few years back, my brother-in-law had a helicopter, a remote control
Okay, yeah,
helicopter.
yeah.
Okay.
And he put a camera on the bottom of it. So it was the first drone, we call it.
Yeah.
But it was remote control. And he worked in the real estate business taking pictures of homes prior to drones.
Genius.
And
Yeah.
it was just, that was
Innovator.
his. Yeah, he was the model remote control airplane guy. So he bought a helicopter. And we've even caught a fish with that. That was a fun time.
You caught a fish with
With the helicopter, yeah. We tied string on it, and fishing line and a hook and a bobber, and took it down to a pond with bait on it. And as soon as the bobber went under,
I guess I'm a
zipped
little
it up.
surprised the fish didn't pull it into the water.
Thank God it was a small fish.
Okay.
I kind of pictured it like an eagle, like flying over the pond, and just wham, and then coming up with the
Going in
fish.
That'd be hilarious.
Yeah.
How about that? Yeah, so I like fly mine up, and then I can only fly so high because of the airport.
Oh,
So, but even when you're not,
You're supposed to register those too. Have you
it,
done that?
it is. Yeah, I
okay.
did all the stuff I'm
I have
supposed to
not
do.
registered
Everything's
mine.
been completely legal, and I've done always what I'm supposed to do. I never drank while using the drone.
Oh,
But you fly it up, and it can only be like maybe you're 10 feet off the ground, right? But if an airplane's in the area, it'll say aircraft in the area. And I instantly want to land. Like, even though I know that the plane would have to bust through my house to hit the drone, it just makes me so nervous. I'm down.
interesting.
Yeah.
How high can you go with it? Well, with yours?
Legally, it's been a while, and I forget what it tells you on the screen how high you are. I think it's like 160 feet is how high I'm allowed to go here. But I've had it as high as like 800 feet.
whoa.
You can't see it anymore.
No, I bet.
Like it goes up so high, you're like,
Wow.
It's
I know I
still
went
there?
straight up, so I know it's up there. But then when you come down, it comes down over there because the wind moved it a
Yeah.
little bit.
Sure.
And I've tried to fly it at night, and that's resulted in a crash every time.
Easy to repair.
Yeah, it's expensive.
Just buy a new one.
No, that's more expensive. But I did it on the 4th of July. I wanted to watch the fireworks. So I thought, that'd be cool. We'll go up there and you couldn't see them.
Couldn't see it.
No, I need a better camera, I guess.
I bet it doesn't make fireworks any cooler.
Well, you don't even like fireworks.
Correct.
You barely like America.
Are you afraid of fireworks?
No, not at all.
He's like a dog.
I'm just
he
not,
hides
I'm just
under the
not
bed.
impressed. You know, it's just
Okay.
like, meh, we're just setting money on fire. Not my thing. Now, contrary to what Brad says, I do like America. I love the 4th of July. I just don't really care for
Just
the
don't like the fireworks.
Yeah, I can do without
He
them.
doesn't. Yeah.
Okay.
He always tells me, though, I hate America. So
Just
that's
because you don't like fireworks.
I
correct.
feel like when you say, I'm not a fan of the 4th of July because I don't like fireworks.
I'm surprised you keep coming back over here.
I never say it that way.
But you've said it that way before.
I don't think
I said it's my favorite holiday of all the holidays. You're like, I'm not impressed.
I like the 4th of July.
Oh,
I
yeah,
love the 4th
you say
of
that
July.
now.
I just don't care for the fireworks.
Well, we're gonna take a survey of all of our people who watch and see what they think.
Please.
Good time,
Please,
man.
please do. Yeah, survey's good.
So, what's the craziest property that you've ever had to go do a survey on?
The craziest?
Scariest, wildest, craziest, hardest to do?
The hardest survey we've ever done, that I've ever done, was down in Liberty, Indiana, towards Brookville Lake.
Yeah.
So if you look outside your house here, it's just flat and corn,
Corn.
square.
It's McCord's.
Well, you're going to have
Corn and
concrete
buildings.
building. But generally in Hancock County, and except if you get to Blue River Township, it's a little bit more winding and there's some hills. But Liberty, that was back when we didn't have the GPS, although it might have not worked anyway because it's all tree cover, hills, up and down hills, creeks. It really makes you want to see if you want that job or not. I know there
Felt
was
like you're Crocodile Dundee. Like,
well, you gotta carry this stuff all the way in a mile, and then you got to carry it back out. And of course, we didn't do it in the winter. It was 90 degrees
Yeah,
out.
100
and sunny.
degrees out.
It was kind of funny. Everybody thinks now it's 92, and that's the first time that's ever happened over. My guys just think, man, it's so hot. Well, it's been that way forever. I mean,
always
July and August is hot.
Yeah.
So, but
Welcome
yeah,
to
that was
Indiana.
a crazy. It took about a week, and we were in the thick of it. And yeah, briars and
Employment barometer. Do I really want to do this?
no doubt. I go through that at least once a week. Why do I still do this? Oh, yeah, I remember.
You know what? So do I.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
So when somebody buys a house, there used to be on every deal what we called a mortgage survey, and that was on every loan that was closed. That's back in the day. That's back when Brian was teaching 6th graders math.
Yeah.
We were doing loan applications by hand and using DHL for everything. So,
Oh, yeah.
But back in those days, every deal had a mortgage survey. So, and I know people today can still get a mortgage survey. What's the difference between a true boundary survey and a mortgage survey? Because 20 years in the business, I really truly don't know.
yeah, a mortgage inspection, which might be called a surveyor's location report today, was typically ordered by either the lending institution or the title company. They were quick hitters, if you will. Drive by the site, get out of the truck, and maybe find a property corner or two just so you can locate the house or any structures that might be on the house. It was probably a plus or minus in times 5 feet, 2 feet. They were just quick. I think back then it was $75.
Yeah, I remember when they were $95. I think
so
75, and then went to 95.
We used to do hundreds a year because everybody required them, and I've always wondered why. It served a purpose for the title company because they're writing insurance on what we show, but it doesn't say if that fence is really on the property or that shed is 5 feet, 2 feet, where the house is located. A stake survey, you're going to get that 100%. Well, I say 100%. Everybody makes mistakes, but it's going to give you the true meaning of where your boundary lines are. We try not to refer to property lines because we don't know whose property it is. We refer them to as boundary lines or a stake survey. So it's a boundary survey or stake survey. It gives you far more security and the liability on our part far more than just a mortgage inspection.
So let's say you come out to do that survey, and then you find out that somebody else's stuff is on somebody else's property, which we call
put
that.
that fence on.
What do they call it? It's
Well, we've kind of
an
an
encroachment.
encroachment. Yeah, we've tried to refrain from mentioning encroachment anymore because there again we don't know whose property it is. We can say house encroaches 5 feet. We'll just say house is 3 feet south of the line or within that boundary.
so you guys don't point any fingers.
Try not to. Bad neighbors. Bad neighbors is the name of our business. I mean, that's when we get a lot of our work is because neighbors, all of a sudden something happens between them.
Yeah.
And now that shed or that fence that's been there for 20
100
years,
years, yeah.
now it's a problem. And,
Yeah.
so.
Or they put a
that's-
string up on their yard and say, you can't come across here.
Right. It becomes ugly. Matter of fact, I had a crew out yesterday, and two ladies, older ladies, were arguing across the fence at each other as my guys were trying to set the. Yeah.
Both named Karen, by the way. That's amazing.
They live right next door to each other.
That's such a blessing.
I would imagine that the gentlemen who were out there dealing with Karen and Karen wanted shots afterwards. So
Do you think it's time for some peach?
I do.
Some peach whiskey.
Well, peach whiskey. Are you good with that?
Not for a shot.
Okay.
Really.
You
So
can
you
sip
guys
it.
name it. I'm okay.
No,
I always guess choice.
I always pick tequila. He doesn't really like tequila, although he doesn't have a lot of taste buds, so he doesn't really know what he's drinking.
My party pals are ready for whatever.
Party pals are ready for whatever.
Just get the peach whiskey. We'll try.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, cheers.
Cheers. Cheers, Mr. Gibson.
To the peach whiskey.
It has a nice peach smell.
It does. I like peach flavored stuff. It's tasty.
That was actually pretty tasty. That's a pretty tasty shot.
So you claim peach whiskey is not a shot. So you have it as a drink. Do you mix it with something?
Yeah. Either ginger ale or Sprite. Excuse me. That whiskey went down a little wrong.
You know, I did a really good tequila one time, and I coughed like it was the worst thing I ever put in my mouth on the show. I was like, I like it. It just went into my lung.
Yeah. Yeah.
Curious how that would be.
So
with
did you like
a
that?
Sweet.
Did you like it?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah.
That is way better than the last two shots on the show.
True story.
Yeah.
Good.
This not that I don't want to dog on St. Elmo's because it's amazing restaurant, it's amazing food, and that is a mixer. And it is really good in some Coke.
We knew that immediately.
But when you drank it as a shot, we were like, "Oh my!"
Yeah.
that was
Just too strong, or I mean, that's odd for you to say, but
I'm gonna say it just doesn't taste good.
For real, there's no real good.
You wanna try
description.
it?
Just bad.
no, I'm good. I'm good.
Just bad.
Yeah, like in a Coke, it tastes exactly like a St. Elmo's Coke that you would order at their store. It's a bourbon, vanilla cherry Coke. It's so good, and they sold them canned, which was really good, and then they came out with this. So you can mix them yourself.
Gotcha.
But I never drank it straight until Alex last podcast said, "Let's try that." I love it in the Coke, and it was missing the Coke.
Thanks, Alex. All right, Mike. So one of the things that I'll do when I go and talk to potential seller for the house is obviously go online to make sure they're the owners, but I'm also going to kind of check out the survey, the GIS.
Right.
How accurate is that?
Well,
What? Okay, I truly don't know what GIS is. What?
right. So every county has a mapping system that you can log on, and GIS is a term for geographical information system. So each parcel in the county or cities, whatever it might be, shows lots or parcels or 40-acre fields or whatever. Typically, you can click on that, and it'll tell you who the owner is.
Okay.
Gives you the history of the transfers in the past. Very, very great tool and a very good tool. And now you can find out the zoning. A lot of them have their utilities on it, flood zones. So it's a tool that all real estate agents, I'm sure, use or from time to
I'm
time.
not sure
Sounds
all
like
do,
you
but
don't.
it
but
exists.
but
There's
it's
some
really-
that don't.
But it is a good tool for anyone to use, okay? We tell people that you can't trust the lines on the GIS because it just doesn't fit. And especially if you're dealing with a lot that's 200 feet wide and you zoom into the map and it might not be accurate, I would say. I don't want to dog it too much because it is a great tool. But we call GIS, what it stands for is get it surveyed.
Oh, okay.
That's awesome.
Because if you use that GIS, a lot of times people call and say, this GIS shows my fence off the property by 5 feet. You can't go by that. But that gets a lot of arguments going because that
Karen,
neighbor,
Karen.
that neighbor might say, hey, your GIS shows your fence on me.
Yeah.
So now it becomes an argument, and they get it surveyed.
And you know, I had Mike come and look at our property because I looked at the GIS and looked where our lines were, and I think 2 of the lines were right, and 1 of the lines was really wrong.
Yeah.
And then he showed me where everything was, and then even that ended up being different. I don't know if I told you that, but the back marker ended up being not as far back as what it was supposed to be when they did the survey of the field.
Really?
So when the commercial company surveyed that field, I was now 10 feet into the neighbor's property.
But wasn't there a fence problem as well? The fence was
My fence was
Too
10
far
feet.
back?
Yeah, like when we looked at it, the
Yeah.
back one was right, but the side one was wrong.
yeah.
But then when they surveyed, they're like, "No, you're 10 feet into the."
Surveying's not an exact science. I
Right.
mean, it's a lot of theory of how legal descriptions were created back in 1800s or whatever, whenever the split of the properties happened. So,
Right.
you might say you have 20 acres. Here's an important thing too: is if you're selling acreage,
Yeah.
somebody might think they have a 20-acre parcel because that's how it was squared off and rectangled off, right? Well, you got out to the survey and it could be 22 acres and it could be 18 acres. So if you're selling that by acreage or by per acre price, you're hoping that it's more than 20.
Right.
If you're the buyer, you're hoping it's less than 20, so
Okay. Question, somewhat for the layperson, but I'll throw myself into this bucket too. You go to do a 20-acre property. How do you know where the boundary is supposed to be?
well, Indiana is a system that's called a rectangular system.
Okay.
And as you drive through Hancock County, you can really see it because all the roads are 1 mile separated. Okay? And the old surveyors laid off property or laid off these sections a mile square. Not exactly a mile. It's supposed to be in theory 5,280 feet, right? But sometimes it's 5,300, 5,000, whatever it might be.
Because Bill's got a tree there, and we don't want to cut it down.
Well, that could have been. So the old surveyor set stones at these corners, at a mile, half mile, maybe sometimes at a quarter, or even in the center of a 1 mile square section, they set stones. That was back in who knows.
The old days.
And there's notes. It's kind of fun. You can go back into the old surveyor's notes, and
I bet that's
it
cool
looks
to
like
look at.
hieroglyphics sometimes,
Yeah.
depending on the cursive writing or whatever it might be. But
Now,
it's really
what if Bill dug up that stone and it's no longer there?
hopefully there was old notes to be able to recreate
no.
it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's shrink that down a little. Well, you keep mentioning Hancock County. Do you only work in Hancock County?
No, we Indiana is a rectangular system.
Okay.
Okay, so I use Hancock County because it's a prototypical
Got it.
county that shows the mile squares. I mean,
All right.
we have 100, 200, 300. I mean, that's all. Now you go to Hamilton County, it's different. Marion County's, although like 21st Street, 30th Street, 38th, those are all county. They used to be county roads that were mile squares, if you know what they were. So
Okay. So significantly different is Brad's property out here in the country. I live south side of Indianapolis. I live in a developed neighborhood from Arbor Homes.
okay,
As a real estate agent, I generally, if they're buying a home that's within a neighborhood, I just basically say we're not doing a survey because it's already been plotted out by Arbor Homes or whomever developed the land.
right.
Is that good advice?
No, he does surveys
No,
for
Well,
everything.
but there again, I
We're helping the
But how do you-
consumers here.
I really believe. So you're in a platted subdivision that the surveyor and the developer laid off, developed lots,
Yeah, right.
put roads in. The surveyor, and a lot of the rules, you have to set corners at each one of those lots after that development's done. So that survey has already been done, not
Yeah.
specifically, but in time the sidewalks go in. Somebody builds a fence.
I have a fence, so I'm curious.
Those
is my
survey
fence on my
those survey
neighbor's?
markers could go away. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, my theory is, in somebody's subdivision like yourself, that survey may cost. I'm not going to hold myself to this, but $700 to $900.
Yep, that's generally what I tell
Okay.
people.
If you buy a house for $350,000, $700 is a very small price to pay to know exactly what you're buying.
Yeah.
So, is it worth it? Gosh, if it's a deal breaker in the closing, probably not.
Yeah.
But if it's comfort of mind, so you don't have to deal with that, and then I say once you have the survey done, you see where those iron markers are, the rebars. I'm putting them in concrete, and they're there until I.
That's what I was going to ask.
That's a
So
good idea.
There is, I mean, I've lived in my house for 7 years. I've never noticed any type of markings of any kind. There's something there.
Yeah, maybe, but probably yes.
Okay.
But they're below the ground.
Uh-huh.
So the mowers don't hit them, obviously.
Right.
And now, since the late 1980s, 1990, we had to put a survey cap on top of them. It's a plastic cap that has our survey number or name on it.
No kidding.
That way, the next surveyor can see who's done that survey. But yeah, they're below ground, and as time goes, weeds cover them up, so
Yeah,
on and so
right.
forth.
You could get out your metal detector.
I don't know.
Or you could call
I don't
me.
know. I just
I'm not that nerdy.
I
Yeah.
pictured
I'm
you.
gonna call Mike.
I pictured you having a metal detector. I don't know why.
No.
I pictured like walking out there in the yard.
Is
I'm
he-
not
Hey,
gonna
honey, I
say
found a dime.
not
He
gonna
probably
say I
does that
haven't
on the
considered
beach, right?
it. Exactly. For all the times
With the
I don't go
headphones
to the
on.
beach.
Yeah.
Yeah, not my thing.
So
You
yeah,
don't like the beach either, do you?
I really don't.
No, see.
I
No,
would
honestly, it's more boredom than anything. It's just boring.
I would say at the end of the day, it's well worth it.
Yeah.
Now Brad's house property is a little bit more difficult because we have to go in the center of the roads, maybe a half a mile away, could be a mile away to find the monumentation to help us determine where that legal description describes it from.
So there is on a purchase agreement, like essentially two different surveys that we can choose. There's the, I think the
Boundary
one
survey.
Boundary survey. Thank you. And then
Stake survey.
that's what it's called, stake survey.
Pretty sure.
Yeah, I often just gloss over this. Sadly.
What is it called? Stake survey or
stake
boundary
survey,
survey?
yeah.
That's one and the same.
Oh, okay.
Same survey.
But again, there are two different levels of surveys. One that's a little bit more, I don't know.
Maybe
well,
one's a mortgage survey and the other's a
one's
boundary
cheaper.
survey.
That's the mortgage inspection.
Okay.
Yeah.
Less work is done. It's like I said, quicker survey to get out of the
Yeah.
truck to go do. Although we try to be accurate as close as
I
we
would
can,
hope,
but there's only
yeah.
a certain amount of time and
There's a
energy
variance
to
to
get.
level that's allowed.
Yeah.
And
Right.
so the other one, you estimated $700 to $900. I'm
That's a
assuming that's the less
generality if it's-
expensive. The other one that's more intensive, I would almost say for larger properties, something that involves several acres.
Something like Brad's property here could be, some surveyor might be able to do it for $1,200, $1,500
Okay.
compared to, today's world, the prices are going up,
Yeah, of course.
wages are going up, so it could 25, 3,000. Now, if it's a larger tract, we look to see how many hours it's really going to take us,
Okay.
and then try to come up with those prices to do that. So,
All right.
yeah.
So when you do a survey for a property, do you ever Does it include like where a well would be or where a septic would be?
The boundary surveys, no. But if somebody wants us to do an existing condition survey
Okay.
and a boundary survey, we'll locate the house. We'll locate basically anything that doesn't move except for trees. But you can specifically ask for that, and we could do that. But septic systems are more tough to locate.
I was gonna say, in the case of that, do you knock on the door, ask the homeowner? Hey,
Homeowner doesn't know where it is.
Well, curious if they do. Like, do you have a septic out here somewhere?
If they've asked us to do that, we try to get them to mark that so we can locate it.
Oh yeah, okay.
Generally, you might be able to find the septic tank, the lid for that.
Yeah.
But
And
knowing
you
where
can kind of guess where the field is.
well,
but it's a
in
guess.
August, you can
You
tell
can
where
tell.
the field is.
It's green,
Yeah.
brown, green. Brown.
Right.
The grass changes color.
But you know, so I have several properties happening right now that were split properties up in northern Indiana. So
Wait, okay, sorry. Can you explain what that means? Split property.
it means there's a farmer that has a house in 100 acres, and they're now splitting out the house in 5 acres.
Got it.
And then, you know, that person's not buying a 95-acre field and a house in 5 acres, which is a lot easier for financing.
Thank you.
So all of those, you know, when the sellers are doing that, they have to do a survey to split it, and then they break it into a brand new parcel number. And I've noticed I've had 2 of those where they actually listed everything about the property. Here was the house. Here was where the septic tank was. They didn't tell where the field
Yeah.
was, but they showed where the clean out in the tank was and then where the well was and the distances.
Real important to know where that is if you're selling off property.
Right,
Because
because-
you don't want that septic system to be off the property or the well.
Right.
so
I
and so
actually
forth.
called
Yeah.
the surveyor on one, and I said, "You guys didn't mention where the septic and the well is." And he's like, "Well, nobody asked for it." And I
Yeah.
said, "Well, if somebody's buying this track, how do I know the septic's not on the other person's track?" And the surveyor goes, "Well, that's a great question. Do you need that added?" And I said, I think we do." So he went back and added it.
Generally, that owner of that farmhouse or that older home knows where their utilities are.
Right,
or
they
septic
built
system.
it
and they've already determined where those property lines are going to be.
Right.
Or the new lines would be. So that's generally not anything we deal with unless specifically asked.
Right. That's
So-
what he said too. He's like, no
Yeah.
one asked. Well, the other one, it came with it. And I did
Yeah.
one in Muncie, and I would have sent them to you if I would have had that opportunity. But by the time I got the deal, that was already in process.
Already have
you know,
somebody, yeah.
when they already sold the property and the split. The survey had been done for the property that was staying with the other owner. And then the survey was done on the house that my buyer was buying, and they were just waiting on the county to issue a parcel number.
Sure.
You know, and change that up. But 2 of them had all that information on. And the last one, you know, had nothing. And my appraiser's like, "Do you know where the septic is?" I'm like, "No." So then I called the surveyor, and he's like, "Well, no one asked us for it."
But it's important now, especially in Hancock County, we deal with on a day-to-day basis, that if you're cutting out property, you need to make sure if it's less than 10 acres that you'll have to get it platted or a minor subdivision. That might be a term that either one of you might or might not have heard, but it's real important to know that just because you split a piece of property off, say it's a 2-acre plat or parcel, it might not be able to be built on as far as an addition or a garage, because now it becomes a non-conforming lot unless you plat it. So
Yeah. See, I've had that conversation many times with people that think, "I'm going to buy a piece of land, I'm going to close on it, and then I'm going to build a house later."
yeah,
I'm like, well, you might not get permission.
That's all right.
I
You
mean,
gotta
we
make
do live in
sure-
an extremely free country where you own your own ground as long as someone else tells you you can use it for what you want to.
I would just really make sure that the advice I'm giving a potential client, call the surveyor to ask, but
Yep.
definitely meet with the planning director of that county or the city and know what you can do and what the zoning is around it.
Right.
Because don't be surprised. I mean, you know, just because you buy it today doesn't mean that the zoning ordinance would allow a 3 million square foot building to go behind
Right.
you or in front of you.
You and I have a mutual friend that bought a piece of ground, and his goal was to build this beautiful barn house on it. And 5 years he fought with the county, Hancock County, as a county commissioner before he got permission to build his house on his piece of ground.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So you don't always get to do what you want to do with your own
Just because
dirt.
it's yours.
Right.
Yeah. That's very important. Well, Mike, you've given some great information. It's one of the probably the least talked about topics because it's something that a lot of people don't know why they should have it.
As I alluded to earlier, I'm sure I'm not the only realtor who just kind of glosses over that.
Yeah.
So that's an important thing.
Nope, I think it's, if you're buying something that's a lot of money, and houses are, right?
So they are.
I want to know what I'm buying. And
You should know what you're getting, yeah.
I'm not just saying that because I'm in the surveying
sure.
business, but
I believe you.
I really believe that.
Yeah, I mean, I just had a customer close on a house, and their realtor had them get a boundary survey. And I've had multiple property splits that have had them. And I just had a farmer who bought a house, and he was buying it as an investment property. And when the title work came over, it had a pretty big survey fee on there. And he's like, I called him. I said, I didn't disclose this to you because I didn't know you were doing this. He's like, I already paid for it. I wanted everything, But he's a farmer, so his mindset was, I want my dirt marked.
Yeah.
Most of our surveys are far less than the 3.5 to 7%.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah.
Easy.
That's negotiated today.
So
I know it is.
It
That's
is.
changed, hasn't it?
Before we conclude, because I feel we're wrapping it up here, you're about to finally head to Mexico.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, well, perhaps you've seen a previous episode where you talked about going down to Mexico to tour some tequila joints.
I have seen a previous episode.
You got to be pretty fired up. You're
I'm
close here.
stoked. Yeah. I don't drink enough tequila. So,
And
can't wait.
I know I've asked this on a previous episode, but how much are you allowed to bring back with you?
Well, as much as you want, actually.
If he's
No,
driving
I
it,
mean in bottles, not like
if
in-
he's driving a motorhome, it's far more.
Oh,
So,
okay.
Really, it's as much as you want. You're allowed to bring back 5 liters per person without paying any taxes.
Okay.
Anything over 5 liters per person, you just have to pay the tax.
Okay.
As long as you're landing in an airport that isn't a dry county or doesn't allow you to bring it back. So there's some places where you're not allowed to bring back anything. So you got to check with the
Are
airport.
we okay here?
Well, we're in Indianapolis, so we can't fly to any place, any international and land here. So
Okay.
you don't want to check with Indianapolis. It's going
All
to
right,
be about
all right.
where you go through customs. So
Yeah, and-
I'm going through it in Dallas, and yes,
Oh,
I can
yeah,
bring
they're
back
good there.
5 liters
So
per
do
person.
you have you been saving in a fund outside of in your bank? Like, here's I'm going to pay my extra taxes fund.
No, I don't do things that way. We're taking an extra bag.
We're
We're
this
putting
bag is kind of loud.
some luggage in the other luggage. And I
Extra
actually went to
padding?
Amazon and I bought these bags.
Of course you
and
did.
you put the bottle in and then you pump it up. It's the same thing that when you order and they ship it to you, it comes in these bags. You probably never
So
ordered
like
liquor before.
Reebok pumps from back in the 80s.
It's
Reebok.
similar,
You're
I
with me,
guess.
little D Brown.
I mean, it's
Reebok
not on my
pumps?
foot. And I'm not doing this.
Ah.
But yeah, so I bought enough. I have enough to bring back 25 bottles.
Oh man, you're gonna fill that bag.
No, I did the math on how much it weighs and then how much it would cost to fly it home, and it's way more expensive. So I'm only going to grab things that we really can't get here, like some Los Abuelos. We'll bring some of those home, some
What about?
Fortalezas.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Fortaleza.
Actually,
the one you can't
so
find here.
Fortaleza is America's version, and in Mexico, Fortaleza is called Los Abuelos. And
You're gonna buy the hell out of that.
when he brought Los Abuelos to America, he got sued because there was a rum company named that already. So they told him you
Do
can't
you have
bring
that rum here?
it. No. So, but get this. Here was his like kind of FU to America. Every Fortaleza bottle has the sticker on it. It says Fortaleza. If you peel that bottle off, it's etched Los Abuelos on the bottle. So every bottle is etched with Los Abuelos. But so we have a private tour of Fortaleza, so we'll bring back some of that, and Cascaween will probably bring back some ones we can't find here. So it's going to be about bringing ones that I can't find here.
And how many of you are headed there?
Just Tony and I.
What? I thought there were others going with
No,
you.
no,
You
we-
invited others. They just didn't.
No, we. I mean, we
on.
said if you people wanted to come, they could. But we're flying in and we take a shuttle to Tequila, and we're staying at Casa Salas at the El Tequilino Distillery, and we're stoked. It's gonna be really fun.
He has those names down, doesn't he?
He's probably
The
not saying them
pronunciation-
correctly.
He could fool us, couldn't he?
I've been working on that. I've made sure. So
Okay.
El Tequilino that's
Okay.
that one up there, and that's the hotel. That's actually the distillery, and Cascaween You tried to correct me because I didn't know how to say it the first time. But Johnny, my buddy who's from Mexico, he set me straight.
Well, I look forward to future episodes where the pictures behind me are you in Tequila, Mexico.
How do you think you say that one?
YeYo.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yep. I didn't think that. I thought it was yee.
There's an O at the end.
So
Good grief. All right, well, safe journey to you in Tequila.
thank you.
I finally look forward to hearing the stories from that on future episodes, and I'm sure everyone else does. Fred
is
I'm
waiting.
sure is on the edge of his
Fred's
seat to hear
bated
about
breath.
Tequila.
Probably
He-
has a glass of tequila
He
right
might
now.
pick you up from the airport.
No, he won't. Fred loves me no matter what.
Well, Mike, thanks for being on the show.
We appreciate you guys.
Cheers
very
to
much.
you.
Thanks, Gibby.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Yep. Cheers.
And cheers to you, my friend. Safe journeys. Cheers to all of you. Thanks for being here this time. We'll see you next time.